Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up. You're closing out the work week with us here on 104.5 ESPN. Got lots to do over the next couple of hours and 15 minutes. Luke Johnson going to catch us at a layover. He's coming back from Southern California, Saints and Jags on Sunday from the Dome. Going to get some thoughts on what he saw in California in the preseason opener, what he saw in joint practices with the Rams, which we weren't able to see, and then what he's expecting to see on Sunday from the Dome. So excited to talk with Luke here about 15 minutes from right now. An hour and 15 minutes from now, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking LSU football. Do that with Preston. Got Meet the Freshman, our final installment of that. I'm going to dovetail that into one of the things I wrote for LouisianaSports.net today, so we'll kind of double dip on the LSU freshmen. I'm talking about some of the guys I expect to play, some of the guys you may not expect to play. So we'll do all of that in hour number 2 as well. So lots and lots to do. Let's crank it up the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, let's start with the LSU practice today. We got a chance to go out there on this Friday morning to see LSU work out. First time in 3 days we had seen them. Tomorrow, big scrimmage day for LSU. So today, I think it's very, very fair to call what we watched a walkthrough. It was not. There were some one-on-ones. There was some 7-on-7, but LSU did not have shoulder pads on. The only position group that had shoulder pads on were the wide receivers to obviously help with catching the football. Everybody else was just in helmets. And even Garrett Nussmeier, who was out there fully participating in practice, was not throwing the football. He threw a little bit in the first couple of drills that we watched, but when they got to the 7-on-7, when they got to the one-on-ones with the wide receivers, tight ends, corners, and safeties, and then we got to the 11-on-11 at the very end, Garrett Nussmeier did not throw the football. He didn't even throw the ball when they were working on throwing the ball to the little targets as just quarterbacks. They were clearly giving Garrett a day to rest his right arm, and that's understandable at this point in camp. Garrett Nussmeier's got a lot of reps under his belt in practice time. He's a fifth-year senior. He's got a year starting under his belt, as you're well aware, and don't need him to go through every single rep every single day throwing the football as much as you have to in fall camp. So Garrett got a bit of a day off today. He'll be a full go tomorrow. A couple of absences that were very notable out there today. Jordan Gilbert, not at practice with the safeties. Chris Hilton, not at practice with the wide receivers, but they had a pretty solid excuse. Both those two received their degree today, so congratulations in order for Jordan Gilbert and Chris Hilton. Those two were not at practice today. And then one more kind of attendance note. Whit Weeks was at practice today, did not participate at all. He did not have his helmet with him. He was walking drill to drill with the linebackers, had his number 40 jersey on, but was not going through drills. I don't have any reason to believe that's a significant setback. It may just be a veteran day off for Whit Weeks, who obviously went through the injury, missed the whole spring. He was on a bit of a pitch count early in camp. There was one day we went out there in the first week that he didn't participate. We talked to his brother West a couple of days later and said, yeah, just every once in a while they ask him to kind of shut it down, not overdo things. So I don't think anything of significance there with Whit. This is just one day that you could give some guys off because the reps were not intense, I would say. Even there was a 7-on-7 period that we watched, which was the first team offense led by Michael Van Buren against a defense that was scout team, and it was pretty clearly three-quarter speed. They were just kind of looking through reads, looking through windows, letting Van Buren throw the ball. It was a step up from a walkthrough today out there at LSU, but I still felt that there were some interesting notes that I pulled from practice. DJ Chester and Paul Mabenga are still very much rotating on the offense. And outside of the wide receivers, who there are 6 or 7 guys you want to get action to, and there are only 3 to 4 spots at a time, those guys are clearly rotating, but nobody else is rotating. Nussmeier's clearly the guy. Caden Durham's clearly the guy. Tyree Adams clearly the guy. Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, Weston Davis clearly the guys. You see out at tight end, Bauer Sharp and Tradez Green, one or the other, but sometimes both on the field. That is all, it appears to me, to be set in stone. Left guard's not. They are competing. And you can take from that whatever it is that you want to take from that, but they are rotating liberally. Like, they both got about 50%. We saw DJ Chester get the majority of the first team reps a lot early in camp, and I would say over the last 4 or 5 days, you've seen a shift towards closer to 50-50, and I think that's a message to both players. Hey, DJ, like, I know that you started last year. I know that you got most of the first team reps at left guard early in camp. It's not just yours. And to Paul Mabenga, hey, like, you're in this mix. I know you spent most of early in camp with the twos, but you've got an opportunity to start, so keep working. And both of those guys are rotating at this point at left guard. Another thing, as far as the quote-unquote depth chart goes, the rotation goes, however you want to term that, that is obvious to me, with Whit Weeks out today, Tylen Singleton played alongside West Weeks. It's obvious now. This is not just one day or a couple of drills, or this is evident. They believe Tylen Singleton can help. They think right now at the inside, you've got Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, and Tylen Singleton. Those 4 are very much the top 4 on the inside. And I think if West Weeks or Whit Weeks got dinged up, had to miss a little bit of time, I think they feel like Tylen Singleton is ready to go. Now, it makes sense because he and Keys are the 2 sophomores, second-year players, I should say, I guess. And then you got 5 freshmen, and then you got the big-time upperclassmen and Whit and West Weeks in front of them. But still, I could see a situation if you didn't feel good about those younger linebackers, about Keys or Singleton, it would be perfectly reasonable for Blake Baker, if Whit or West Weeks went down, to move Harold Perkins inside and go with somebody else at star. Maybe Jordan Gilbert, maybe Charles Ross, maybe Tamarcus Cooley. Like, you could shuffle those deck chairs if you wanted to. I think they believe Tylen Singleton is ready to help. He looks the part physically. He has made some plays in camp, especially in the pass rush portion of some 11-on-11s. And he is in there with the ones today alongside West Weeks instead of Devon Keys. And I don't think that's an indictment on Keys, who I know they're high on. I think they're every bit as high on Tylen Singleton. So that was a very, very good thing to see today as well. And then I thought that one set of drills, I may be overreacting to this. I will cop to that. Like, I don't think I am, but it is possible. I'll leave that door open. I have watched them now a lot over the course of a full practice. And one of the things that they consistently work on, probably 3 out of 4 days that we're out there, is a period of quick game, of screen work, of now screens, of tight end screens, of different ways to snap the ball and get rid of it immediately. And today we saw a little bit of that as well. I noticed a couple of formations, and this was actually not with the first-team quarterbacks. There was a walk-on quarterback going through this drill with some of the first-team pass catchers. The other quarterbacks were over doing some accuracy drills on the other side of the field. So it wasn't like they were doing it full-on with the entire team, but they were making sure that the wide receivers and tight ends knew how to rep it. And there was one play where they had trips to the right, 3 wide receivers, and they motioned Xavion Thomas back into the backfield and then immediately snapped it when he got back there, and he went right back to where he was with the 2 other wide receivers still left on that side of the formation blocking. It was just a way to draw the defense to the middle of the field and then get him on the perimeter and go quickly. That's something you would do to help out your offensive line, get the ball to your playmakers very quickly. There was also a play where Bauer Sharp was on the left side of the formation. The entirety of the wide receiving corps was on the right side of the formation. They sent Bauer Sharp in motion to the right side of the field. He never stopped. The ball was snapped as he crossed the other tackle, and he just went to block as they threw a quick now screen out to the wide receiver, which I think was Kyle Parker in that rep. So just different plays, different schemes, different motions, different formations to immediately get the ball out to the perimeter to these wide receivers that are so talented. And I told y'all earlier this week that in the practice we saw over the weekend, you saw LSU work an entire period on just all screens. They involved Trey Green and Bauer Sharp in those screens. They involved Chris Hilton and Xavion Thomas in those screens. Certainly we know Aaron Anderson is involved in those. They are spending a lot of time, in my estimation, and again, we haven't spent a lot of fall camps out there for the entirety of it. So what I'm telling you is things that I'm seeing for the first time, not necessarily things that are being done for the first time. But I'm connecting dots here, and I think they're reasonable dots to connect. that LSU is going to do some things, especially in the Clemson game and then early in the season, to help their offensive line. I don't think we're leading you astray to suggest that there are times where the offensive line struggles. I'm not here telling you it's a disaster. I'm telling you there are times where they struggle. And so when you see that, it's good coaching to go, okay, if we see that in a game, what can we do to help? That's coaching. And at this point, they're working a lot of screens because screens make a lot of sense. These offensive linemen that LSU has are very athletic. Tyree Adams and Weston Davis can really move. Braylon Moore can really move. And I think it makes a lot of sense to get those guys moving down the field with the talented receivers you've got and the tight ends you've got that can catch the ball and move up the field. You don't have to hit 65-yard plays on screens, but if there's a free 8 there, absolutely. And so I noticed that part of practice that was being done in kind of a walkthrough manner to make sure timing was right, to make sure assignments looked right, and to make sure they were all on the same page. And so I appreciated that. The last thing for practice today, and this is a subjective observation on my part, not an objective one like, oh, there's Tylen Singleton working with the first team. That would be objective. There he is. This is subjective on my part. I thought Michael Van Buren had a nice day today. I told you Garrett Nussmeier took the day off from throwing. Van Buren worked a lot with the ones. He threw some one-on-one routes. He threw some 7-on-7s, part against the scout team, part against the first team defense in 7-on-7. And I thought he looked good. He started the 7-on-7 period with a nice ball right across the middle to Xavion Thomas, who caught it and turned it up the field. I thought he did a nice job of hitting Tradez Green on an out route at one point. He threw a nice seam route to Bauer Sharp against the scout team that was right on the money. One of the highlights against the scout team on 7-on-7, and I don't even know if this is a full-speed drill, but he threw one that was just a go route down the left sideline. And Jelani Watkins was the receiver intended. And as it was in the air, I go, oh, that's well overthrown. And Jelani Watkins ran right by Aiden Anding like Anding was standing still and basically scooped it off his kneecaps on the run for a catch. It was one of those deals where that's the fastest guy on the field. He realized he had to go into the extra gear, and he did it. And it was a great catch. It turned out to be a great throw, and it was a kind of a highlight play of that portion. If you look at the 7-on-7 against the ones, which P.J. Woodland and Mansour Lane were the corners there, threw an in-breaking route to Xavion, as I mentioned, hit Aaron Anderson for 5 yards, then threw a touchdown to Tradez Green, which was a nice throw as well. So I thought Michael Van Buren had a nice day on 7-on-7. That's very different than 11-on-11, but we have highlighted a couple of times where Van Buren has struggled a little bit in 11-on-11. I thought today he looked good. So we wanted to give that hat tip there to Michael Van Buren. All right, that's it for LSU practice today. We're going to talk to Preston Guy an hour from right now about what he's seen from LSU in fall camp. I still want to talk about a couple of freshmen and what we may see from the freshmen when we get to the season. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Luke Johnson, who's coming back from Southern California, talk all things Saints. Been a lot of happenings since we last talked to Luke, so we'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. My favorite model is the GV80. It is a midsize SUV. If you're a family of 4 with 2 younger kiddos, probably good for you. Or if you just enjoy the feeling of an SUV, it's a great option for you. Get on by and see it. The odds are, if you're listening to me right now, that you have not been behind the wheel of a Genesis vehicle. It's fairly new to the game. The location's new here in Baton Rouge relative to the rest of the folks out there on Airline Highway. But that just gives you an opportunity to see something new, see something you've never seen before. You're going to be blown away by the customer service. You're going to be blown away by the facility. And the line of vehicles is just in line with that. It is awesome. Every single vehicle on the line is an IHA top safety pick. So not only are they sleek, stylish, comfortable, with the greatest bells and whistles, they're also some of the safest cars on the road. Get on by and see my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're airline at PQ. You can find the inventory at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
All right, chugging right along here on a Friday edition, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by for a late lunch there. Government between Foster and Jefferson. If you're looking to eat this weekend, Corks always a fantastic option. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Let's check in with Luke Johnson somewhere in this great nation, coming back from South California to South Louisiana. Luke, how we doing?
I'm good, man. This is like perfect timing. I like just got off a plane in Denver and I'm boarding my next one in like 15 minutes. This is magic.
Wonderful. That's the beauty of radio. Let's get it done quickly so you can get back on a jet plane and get on home. Lot of action since we last spoke. Let's start with the preseason game, and I certainly want to talk about the practice that y'all saw with the Rams because that wasn't available to us like the preseason game was. But preseason game, quarterbacks, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I think they were just good and bad, right? It's kind of what we've seen throughout camp. Although I do think that Tyler Shuck is definitely making strides. He's a lot better player now than he was when they opened camp, which like obviously makes sense, right? He's a rookie quarterback coming in, learning a new offense, playing with new players. It was going to take some time. So, like I think he's been making a lot of strides in the right direction. I still think like if training camp ends tomorrow, which obviously it doesn't. I still think it'd be Spencer Rattler's job, but I think he's gained a lot of ground. I thought obviously there's the big negative plays from both quarterbacks in that preseason game, the pick six from Tyler Shuck and the strip sack from Spencer Rattler. But, they showed they could do some things. And they were doing it without the full complement of players. No Chris Olave, no Rashid Shaheed, no Eric McCoy. Those are three, no Alvin Kamara. I mean, that's four of your most important players on offense. So saw what you needed to see, didn't see what you really wanted to see, which is one of them looking like, great. But, for Shuck especially, his first NFL drive is a 2-minute drive. He goes and puts points on the board, and then he has a big touchdown pass immediately after that pick six. He went 4 for 4 for 80 yards and a touchdown on that drive. Like, I think there's something there you can work with.
No doubt. Let's talk on the negative side with the injuries that we saw over the last week. Clapp, IR, Bub Means out for the year, and then Trevor Penning. You're going to have to update me on that. But what do those three mean?
Well, Will Clapp wasn't really having a particularly good camp. He's had a lot of snapping issues. I don't necessarily know if he was guaranteed a roster spot. So obviously it hurts to lose veteran depth on your team. But I'm not sure he was guaranteed to be on the team. And same thing with Bub Means. It's somebody who I was really hoping to see a lot more of in training camp, and he just hasn't really kind of consistently flashed in those practices, and they really need a receiver of his size. So you had two guys there who I just don't know if that's going to end up having really any legitimate long-term impact on the team. Even though you would like to have a capable veteran backup in case Eric McCoy goes out. The Trevor Penning one is, I think potentially like a big deal. I think he's played really well at guard in camp, but he still needs some more seasoning there. And for him to lose, we don't have an exact timeline on this, but let's say it's 6 weeks, right? So he's going to miss all of the preseason, and you're talking about 1 or 2 games of the regular season. Not only is there going to be a drop off in play there, but that's like him losing valuable snaps to get ready for this regular season, because he's kind of the linchpin for this offensive line. Everybody else you have reasonable expectations for, and him, it could be really good and it could not be good. He just needed the reps. So, that's going to hurt. And I think one more to watch out for is Alontae Taylor dealing with a groin injury. We don't have a firm timeline on him either. And those things can linger. So, we're keeping an eye out on Ugo Amadi and Terrell Burgess, who are kind of splitting those slot corner star reps that Taylor was taking. But, he's going to be a big-time player in this defense. So, that's really something we got to keep a close eye on.
When you look at the Penning injury and then you pair it with the fact that Clapp is hurt and you pair it with the fact that Saldiveri is hurt and they're done, what does that mean at left guard? Is it a Shane Lemieux? I mean, what are they going to do there?
No, I think it's Dylan Radins.
Okay.
Who's somebody they signed this offseason. Yeah, when they signed him, they hadn't drafted Kelvin Banks yet. So, when they made that signing, everybody's like, okay, that's a potential starting guard option. He's somebody who's started at guard in the NFL as soon as last year. So, but it chips away at your depth. I mean, you're talking about 3 guys in Clapp and Saldiveri and Penning who were starting or going into the season expected to be top backups. So. I mean, look, offensive line depth is a concern for 31 NFL teams, and Saints are no different. But it's the level of concern. Do you feel I feel okay about it, or do you feel we need to get guys in here? And based on what we've seen in camp, I think the Saints should be really worried about their number 2 offensive line. It could be a spot that they're keeping an eye out on these other teams playing their preseason games and seeing who may or may not make a roster, and maybe we see them make some additional moves after cutdown day.
You were at the practice with the Rams. I know what I've read, but I don't want to lead you in any way. So what'd you think of the practice with the Rams?
Yeah, so they split up into 2 fields. So my colleague Matt Paris and I split up, and I was watching the Saints defense. And look, they were going up against Jimmy Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett, who I don't think anybody's going to confuse for Matthew Stafford anytime soon. But I think they look pretty good, man. And that's just kind of been a consistent theme throughout camp. And you wanted to see that against a team like the Rams that has, even without Stafford, has some star power on its offensive roster. Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Puka Nacua. Tutu Atwell had a nice season for him. They got some nice offensive linemen. So, Chase Young dominated He had like 5 pressures, 2 sacks, and 3 pass breakups. Julian Blackmon had an interception in his 3rd straight day of training camp practice. I think he's up to 5 for training camp. Like, he looks like a dude. And he's a guy who played really well for Indianapolis, and he dealt with injuries, and he's been, kind of signing these 1-year deals. But I think putting him into this Brandon Staley scheme is going to be really good for him. So, I think I feel pretty good about their defense just being a feisty group. Like, I don't think I'm willing to say they're going to be like a top 10 defense, but like, I think they could sneak into the top half of the league in, some important stats. Because we've seen guys who, have kind of underperformed to this point in their career, who are kind of written off, look really good in this scheme. I think Staley's just a smart coach, and he knows how to get the most out of these guys.
As far as the other side of the field where Matthew was, that's the part that I read some about.
Yeah. Well, Rams have a really good front.
Yes.
And they were giving the Saints problems. And that's not the first time we've heard that about the Rams, even in a joint practice this year. So I think that group's going to cause a lot of problems for everybody. But like, I do think that for as much investment as the Saints have put into this offensive line this offseason, even with like just one of their starters missing, like all of those guys are, maybe with the exception of McCoy, are known more for their ability as run blockers and pass blockers. And especially when you've got 2 young tackles kind of bookending things, they're going to go through some growing pains. Even Tali Fuaga, who had a nice rookie season, like was not a great, like an elite pass blocker last year. He's much better as a run blocker. I think they're going to go through similar stuff with Kelvin Banks, and it's going to be, some hit and miss days from those guys especially against really, really good fronts. Which is not exactly what you want to hear when you're trotting out a rookie quarterback or a second-year quarterback, especially guys who, have some limitations. Like that said, though, like I don't think they're going to be a disaster this year. Like we've seen good bits out of them, but like I just think that we can't just have this expectation they're just going to plug those young guys in and it's going to go swimmingly, especially when they go up against D-line that has Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner and Byron Young. Like, they racked up a lot of sacks with that front 4, especially last year. So it's just got to be something people are prepared for when they're watching this team, and not just like, go out there in week 1 and Kelvin Banks gives up 2 sacks and they say, well, they wasted a pick. And, they're just going to have growing pains with those guys.
Before we let you go, any thoughts on the quarterback rotation? What you expect to see on Sunday in the Dome?
We haven't gotten any word from Kellen Moore, who's just like, frankly just refusing to give us any sort of fun information to work with.
Yep.
But I would expect it to be Tyler Shuck. I would think they'd give each guy one turn through the rotation as a starter in the preseason, which is kind of how they've been doing it throughout training camp. And then, maybe it would be next week where they're like, we're gonna name a starter, we're gonna roll with it, we got to get ready. I just don't know. I don't have a feel for how Kellen Moore treats the start of the regular season. Has Sean Payton, it was Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. I think Sean Payton named the starter after week 2. But I don't know if it's going to be the same thing with Kellen Moore. But I still expect it to be Shuck with the ones on Sunday against the Jaguars.
We shall see. Fly safe. Enjoy this football on Sunday, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Luke Johnson with The Advocate at @ByLukeJohnson on Twitter, where you can find him. A lot of good work for the Saints in Southern California. Got some practice in before the Chargers game. Got a joint practice in with a really talented team in the Rams. Now they come back and get ready for Jacksonville, and we'll be watching. I would tend to agree with that assessment that you'll see Shuck with the first team. If you don't see Shuck with the first team, I think that's a huge message that Kellen Moore will be sending. That Spencer Rattler's his guy, but I think that he wants to probably evaluate both of them in those circumstances. So I'll give you my thoughts on Saints-Jags in the second hour, but that's appreciate Luke for making some time with us. Like, he had a quick connection there in Denver, and we were able to squeeze in 12 minutes with him there, so we appreciate Luke for making a little bit of time for us today. All right, we will step aside. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the last 2 freshmen on the list, both of whom play the same position, but in very different positions right now. And we'll talk about the freshmen as a whole, who's expected to play. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. I love telling you about the warranty that they've got. They've got the powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. They've got the bumper-to-bumper warranty, 5 years, 60,000 miles. They've got enhanced roadside assistance, 5 years, unlimited miles, so you're not getting stranded on the side of the road in a Genesis. And also your complimentary scheduled maintenance, which can be valet. They'll come get it and bring it back to you. That's just the degree of service that you're going to get from Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's America's best warranty, and it's right there at Genesis. Go by and see them. The dealership, it feels like a spa. It's gorgeous. The ambiance great. They got great scent in there. And they've also got some wonderful little secluded areas where if you need to get a little bit of work done while you're there, you can do that. That is very much a possibility at Genesis. It's an amazing line of vehicles. The entire line, IHA top safety picks. You can go out and see them, airline at PQ. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August.
Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature it.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Of a sloppy Friday afternoon here in the capital city. If you're out and about, be careful out there. Try to stay dry, working towards the weekend. Hopefully that weekend is here for you. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line this week on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I want to remind you our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you're craving a po' boy in Baton Rouge, which happens from time to time, you just got to get one. Corks can serve you up a delicious po' boy. They got that fluffy bread, got fantastic crispy fried catfish. They'll overload you with those jumbo shrimp, fully dressed. It is a great po' boy. If you just want the shrimp platter, they can do that. If you just want the catfish platter, they can do that as well. Got those shoestring fries and all the sauces you could want. My personal favorite is the Cork sauce. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. Got the tartar sauce, obviously cocktail sauce as well, and they can help you out with just traditional ketchup if that's your style. Corks between Foster and Jefferson on Government. I'll always tell you, they're happy to do some catering for you as well, whether it's a birthday party. Tailgates are coming up very, very rapidly. Going out to catch some high school football and want to feed a whole group. Corks can help you with that. Get you those big trays of the shrimp, catfish, fries, honey butter rolls, all of it. CorksFishandShrimp.com is that website. All right, let's one more time. Meet the freshmen.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen. Meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
Got a couple of big boys to introduce you to in our final edition this year of Meet the Freshmen. Solomon Thomas and Carius Kern will be your first two. Let's first talk about Solomon Thomas because that's kind of an open and closed shape case at this point. Solomon Thomas, a guy that was committed to Florida State, big-time recruit, was a 5-star by ESPN, high 4-star by On3, 24/7, and Rivals. Number 2 players positioned by Rivals. Number 5 players positioned by On3. Number 4 players positioned by ESPN 2 at 24/7. So you get the point. Top 5 position nationwide by any service that you looked at. He was listed at 6'3", 335 pounds by his recruiting profile, and LSU flipped him late. You had a big overturn on the Florida State staff offensively after they were just putrid last year. And the Jacksonville native ended up at LSU, and it just so happens that Alex Atkins, former offensive line coach there, ended up at LSU as well. And I think there was a sincere thought that Solomon Thomas would push for some playing time this year. Not a lock by any stretch of the imagination, but a thought. You look at LSU's offensive line, and it was fair to say on January 31st and July 31st, two very different parts on the calendar, but same situation, there were 4 spots definitely up for grabs and really 5 spots up for grab because DJ Chester was probably not going to be the center. So you were going to have movement at all 5 spots. It stands to reason that Solomon Thomas would throw his hat in that ring as an early enrollee, as a guy that's big and strong, and with a staff that has played freshman on the offensive line. Emory Jones and Will Campbell did it. And that was a different time where you were trying to overhaul a broken offensive line group. But it stands to reason Solomon Thomas had a chance. And then he broke his foot before camp started. Broken metatarsal and has not been able to go and won't be able to go until September. We saw Solomon Thomas out there today at practice as we have much of camp. He is wheeling around with his knee on one of those scooters. Got the bike handlebars. Put the knee on one scooter and then you push yourself with the other one. So that's how he gets around practice. And then today we saw him with the boot on, going through exercise bike and trying to kind of stay in shape, trying to keep the blood flowing a little bit. But it's just not a lot he can do with the broken toe at that weight. Like, it's just not, he can't help. And I think what you're going to see here is this is going to cost Solomon Thomas his freshman season as far as on the field goes. I just can't come up with a scenario where Solomon Thomas gets to the field on this team. You've got what looks to be a starting offensive line of Tyree Adams, either DJ Chester or Paul Mabenga, Braylon Moore. Then you look at right guard where you're going to see Josh Thompson and then Weston Davis on the outside. And then you've got a couple of guys that are nipping at the heels there beyond those 6. Carius Kern, certainly Cohen Eccles, maybe Brett Bordelon, right tackle. Like, you've got options in front of Solomon Thomas. So it's going to be a redshirt year for him, and I think you'll see him very much in competition to play in the spring of next year. Now, Karius Kern is the other guy in this offensive line class as you look at it and go, that guy might be able to play. Kern, number 2 player at his position by Rivals, number 3 by 24/7, number 2 by On3, one of the best interior offensive linemen in the country coming out of Marion, Arkansas. Freak athlete, can do backflips, can run. I heard earlier, like 3 weeks ago, we were talking to Tyree Adams, who said he's the strongest freshman, talking about Karius Kern, that I've ever seen at LSU. And that's impressive. And those are the things you can't teach. You can't teach a guy to do the backflip at that size. You can't teach the strongest LSU freshman. Like, these are things that he's worked for and partly has been blessed with. But there's still a ways to go with Karius Kern. He has spent almost all of his time that I've seen at left tackle, which means he's the backup to Tyree Adams there. He is not, where I've been watching, played any guard. I'm not ruling it out completely, but I haven't seen it. So right now, he's not one of their top 6 guys. Maybe 7th or 8th, probably 7th or 8th, maybe 6th if it's left tackle. But he's having some pre-snap issues, had a couple of false starts, got pulled out of a drill last week, had to go run laps. But he's a really talented guy who's really physical, is not prototypical tackle size, but is physically gifted. And I think a lot of people are saying, hey, all I read about is how the guards are struggling. I see Josh Thompson's having trouble with Bernard Gooden. I see that you're still having a competition between DJ Chester and Paul Mabinga. Both those guys played a lot last year at the end of the season. Neither did an awesome job. Like, it just feels like there are real issues at guard. Just put Karius Kern in there. And I understand that. And I understand where LSU fans come from. And this is not an LSU thing. This is a national thing with programs that recruit on an elite level. Because when you see a 4- and 5-star prospect come in, and Kern's a 5-star by On3, when you see them come in, your inclination is just get them on the field. You think about, DJ Welter playing over Kendall Beckwith, and you think about the impact that Derek Stingley made, and you look at Leonard Fournette, and you think that, oh, Will Campbell's a 5-star, bang, he starts. Like, just get those guys out there. And I'm not, like, I get it. I'm pro 5-star. You're not going to find a lot of guys more pro 5-star than me. I believe fully that my 5-star army is going to beat your 3-star army that cares a lot. Not every time, but a lot. And I'm a believer that your 3-star army, no matter how much they care, is not going to win a national championship. So I'm all about it. But Brad Davis looks at these guys every single day. He looks at them in the weight room. He looks at them on film. He looks at them in one-on-ones and 11-on-11. And right now, he believes there are better options than Karius Kern at the interior of the offensive line and certainly at left tackle. So I believe there's a reasonable chance Karius Kern makes his way into the lineup on this team. I also believe that reasonable chance is remote, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's far less than 50% that Karius Kern is a starter on this team in October. I'm not ruling it out. I'm ruling Solomon Thomas out. And I think he's going to be healthy in 2 weeks. But I'm ruling him out. I don't think you can miss an entire camp at that position, at that age, and be a viable substitute candidate on the offensive line. Kern's been here since the spring. Physically, he's probably pretty close to being ready to go. And if they're just a disaster up front, you may see drastic measures. But it's going to take drastic measures, I think, to get him on the field. So right now, I think LSU is pretty well set at offensive line with the top 6 guys. And I don't think that Solomon Thomas or Karius Kern is cracking that. But, they are monster talents. And we know you've got to be good up front to win championships. And I believe that Brad Davis is continuing to restock the shelves to give you the feeling that they should be really good up there. It remains to be seen. I've been skeptical about this group all fall. But I think that the recruiting has been good, and those two guys are big-time talents. So that's an entire look at Meet the Freshmen. Went through 18 guys. Took us 9 days to do it, better part of 2 weeks, and that's the end of camp. LSU's going to scrimmage on Saturday, and then it is full steam ahead getting ready for Clemson 2 weeks from tomorrow. So that's a look at your freshman class. If you liked that and want to go back and check out those every single day, we met 2 freshmen as we went through the entirety of the class. So let's move forward. We'll close out hour number 1 talking about Michigan's sanctions. What'd they get? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, wrap up hour number 1 here on this Friday, talking about Michigan. Michigan's sanctions came down from the NCAA, the Committee on Infractions, notified the Wolverines, and we've got the list. And basically, what they've done here is punish people who don't work there anymore and cost Michigan a lot of money. So that's the long and short of it. I'll give you the line items here. A fine equivalent to the anticipated loss of all postseason competition revenue sharing associated with 2025 and 2026 football seasons. These fines in the aggregate are probably going to cost Michigan about $35 million. They've got a 10-year show cause for Jim Harbaugh. He coaches the Chargers. I think he'll be fine. 8-year show cause for Connor Stallions, who quite honestly got everything he wanted out of this. Michigan won a national championship. He became famous. They made a documentary about him. He's very likely, in my opinion, proud of what he did, not embarrassed that he got a 10-year show cause. That's a guy who is a little bit delusional and is obsessed with Michigan football and would do anything for Michigan to win. And so he went out and cheated, and they won, and he's probably really proud of that. And that's fine if that's the way he wants to look at it. Sharon Moore, they self-imposed 2 games for him. He gets an additional game. Oh, by the way, they get to pick the games, so that's not a punishment either. Michigan doesn't need a coach to beat some of these garbage teams on their schedule, so that's not really a punishment at all. 4 years of probation. We'll see how that goes. Denard Robinson, shoelace. 3-year show cause penalty for him. $50,000 fine plus 10% of the budget for the football program. These fines, scholarships, 10% of those for 25-26. They get a 25% reduction in football official visits for 2025-26, and then a 14-week prohibition on recruiting communication in the football program during a probation period. Here is what I think about all of this. None of this is a deterrent whatsoever for Michigan at all. The punishment Michigan has received for this scandal is that Jim Harbaugh left. Now, he probably would have left anyway, but the fact that he did leave is the most harmful thing to their program. My opinion is that Sharon Moore will probably fail at Michigan. Most coaches fail. His first year was an embarrassment, and I think that that'll probably be more along the lines of what it looks like moving forward. They won't be the worst passing offense in the country for a long time. Do I think they'll be even close to as consistently good as they were under Jim Harbaugh? I do not. And that will likely be truly the punishment for Michigan ultimately. I will also say that I don't have a great solution on punishment for things like this, because likely the most punitive thing you could do would impact a lot of people that were not involved in this at all. The freshmen who just enrolled at Michigan have nothing to do with the fact that Connor Stallions drove around the country with binoculars. Like that, they didn't do that. So you punish him and you punish Harbaugh, but you can't really punish Harbaugh because you don't have jurisdiction in the NFL. And money is fine, but why don't they just call Larry Ellison and tell him to give him, well, we just got fined $35 million. Will you give us $350 million? That's what falls out of your pocket on Tuesdays. Who cares? There's really not much you can do in this situation that is, in my estimation, justified. It is part of the deal with the NCAA. They don't have the ability to be punitive toward the right people. And oftentimes, schools just tell them to go away, and then they really can't do anything. Michigan would have lined up gladly for $35 to $50 million to beat Ohio State 3 times in a row and win a national championship. Would have paid it 3 times over if you asked them to. So ultimately, nobody really comes out as a loser here. It just is what it is. And I don't really care. Michigan's not really on my radar. I know there's sour grapes aspect of this with Bryce Underwood. That is what it is. This was well before him, and we'll see if it affects him in any way. But I don't have a great option. I don't have a great answer for how to do this any better. It just is a joke. The entire penalty is a joke to me. I'm sure someone somewhere, some bean counter in the Michigan facility is upset about the $40 million they're going to have to cough up, but nobody that's a fan cares. Nobody that's a booster cares. And Michigan's just going to go on this year and play some football as if it never happened. And that's essentially what it comes down to. And you could scream and yell and go, well, hey, just tell them to vacate the national championship. And I would just laugh at you because vacating a championship is stupid. You could right now, today, Vacate LSU's 2003 national championship. Pull the flag down. Take the plaque off the wall. I don't care. I was there. Go vacate the 2023 College World Series championship. Vacate the whole thing. Take the flag down. Repaint the Intimidator. What do I care? I was there. I saw it. It was awesome. Vacating wins does nothing. So, to me, it's a big nothing burger. We knew it would be a big nothing burger, and you just move on. And Michigan gets what they wanted, and now we'll see if they can rebound from an atrocious season. I don't think they will, because I think their coach is bad. We'll see, though. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. My Prax report, you missed it, Hunt on LSU. Luke Johnson talking Saints, missed it, Hunt on Saints. We'll pause for national headlines. We'll come back, talk some LSU, talk some Saints, Preston Guy in 20 minutes on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, there are storms a-brewing. Aaron is not going to impact the United States, it doesn't appear, which is great. But we always know that there could be another. And if you're not prepared for that with your insurance program, you probably should be. If your broker just showed up with the renewal, said, here's what it costs, sign here, and you're just not really sure what the details of that policy say, could be an issue. And not every broker knows exactly what the policies say. I can promise you, if you work with the Highland Insurance Group, they will. Jonathan Carver and his team take a ton of pride in their expertise on insurance. And that's not the sexiest thing to talk about, I know, but it's important, especially when something happens. So if you don't know if your billion's evaluated right, or your deductible's in line, or your co-insurance penalties could be severe, if you don't know the answers to those things, contact the Highland Insurance Group and get them to look at your policy for free. They're online at HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. A significant fine and additional suspension, but no postseason ban for Michigan in its sign-stealing case. Among the punishment from the NCAA, a fine, including the loss of 2 years of postseason football revenue, projected to be more than $20 million. Head football coach Sharon Moore, an additional game suspension for 2026, on top of the self-imposed 2-game suspension from Michigan for this season. Ruling marking the end of an era for the NCAA, explains ESPN college football insider Pete Thamel.
This is really the last great NCAA case. The College Sports Commission is now going to investigate things that, if there's vagaries and NIL deals and such. But this is really the last explosive, significant NCAA infractions case. NCAA will still oversee some gambling stuff. They're going to have their hands in a few eligibility things.
Pete Thamel on the Pat McAfee Show. Huge series in Major League Baseball tonight. Dodgers host the Padres. San Diego up a game on LA in the NL West. Brewers take their 12-game winning streak into tonight's visit to Cincinnati. Reds half game out of the final NL wildcard spot.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming on Monday, Bo Nix led the Broncos to the playoffs in year 1, but what should we expect in year 2 from him? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, last hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. It's wet Friday afternoon here in the capital city. Hope you all are being safe, staying dry a little bit. I just got a text from my wife who is sitting in the parking lot of the grocery store debating whether or not she's going to brave the rain to go in. It appears that may not happen, and I may be called upon to do that after my show to trudge through the rain. We'll see. We'll see how it's going to test the toughness on a Friday afternoon. If she has the guts to get out of the car, she's just going to call it a day, go home, and pin that on me. But I volunteered, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe an update as the hour goes along. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Preston Guy going to be with us in 15 minutes talking about the Tigers. So plenty to do here in our final hour of the week. Saints and Jags from the Dome, noon on Sunday. And there are things that I want to look at. Last week I told you that I was excited to watch the Saints. I was excited to learn some things in the preseason. My contention is, on a lot of good football teams with settled quarterback battles, preseason is pretty monotonous. If you are a grinder and you want to get into the 49th spot on the roster, the 50th spot on the roster, who's going to find that special teams niche or that reserve nickelback role? I love you, but I don't have that bone in my body. But the Saints aren't in that spot. The Saints have a lot of positions open. The Saints have a quarterback battle that is not settled. The Saints have some things to play for that aren't on the scoreboard. And that's fascinating. And I thought that while the game was a bit of a tough watch on Sunday against the Chargers, there was information there. And I think there will be information to come out of the Saints camp in the next 72 hours. You look at Sunday, how the game plays out, both what the performance looks like and in what order it comes, with what unit. And I think you're going to find some information. And I have not ruled out at all that next Monday or Tuesday, Kellen Moore comes to the podium and says, hey, this is our starter. And if you made me guess right now who that starter would be, I would guess Spencer Rattler, but I would not feel convicted in my guess. It would be just that. I do think it's reasonable to deduce that Tyler Shuck will start the game on Sunday. That has not been announced. Kellen Moore is intentionally playing some cat and mouse there. He's not going to give the media or the fan base anything too salacious or anything to chew on there. He's just going to continue to give these guys some reps, to split them up rather equally, and see what the results are. When you consider what this game should look like, and this is another guess on my part, but it's fairly educated, I feel like Jacksonville's going to put some guys out there early. This is the game that you would play your starters for the longest period of time. For some organizations, that may be 2 drives. For some organizations, it may be 2 quarters. who knows? Who knows what exactly they're going to do with this Jaguars unit on Sunday? But I think you're going to see the Saints put some starters out there on offense. I think Shuck will be with them, and I think you'll see Rattler try to operate with the twos against some reserves for Jacksonville. That's my guess. And I think that really quality play from one of them, combined with maybe some mistakes from the other, could tip the scales significantly. I'll talk about this next week, but I'm just giving you a foreshadowing about what next week's going to sound like. I do not believe the Saints are in a position in the third preseason game to send Jake Haener out there for 4 quarters. You can do that with Breeze. You can even do that with Derek Carr. When you are trying to identify your next franchise quarterback, those reps should not be wasted on a guy who's not going to be the franchise quarterback, and Jake Haener is not going to be the franchise quarterback. You want to play him in the fourth quarter next week? Fine. But Shook and Rattler should play. They should play. And they should play on Sunday. I think they will play on Sunday. That is the biggest storyline, and I would not sit here and bury that lead under any circumstance. But there are some things I want to see as well. Let's look at the secondary. If you listen to our interview that we did with Luke Johnson a little bit earlier today, he said that Julian Blackmon has had an interception in 3 consecutive days of training camp. Some of that against other opposition, one being the Rams. That's exciting. You're looking for help back there at safety. I think it's reasonable to suggest a month ago we thought, hey, Tyrann Mathieu is going to be back there with Justin Reed. But Blackman's come in. He's made a bunch of plays. You also have Jordan Howden, who's kind of been for his time in New Orleans. And you've got Jonas Sanker, who's made some plays. But I'm excited about Blackmon, who potentially could be a difference maker on this team. And I'm going to be watching him. And I think you're going to get a chance to watch Quincy Riley play a good bit on Sunday. Alontae Taylor's dealing with that groin injury. He may not be. It's unlikely he's available for Sunday. So to me, there are some young guys that are going to be running around in that secondary that I would absolutely like to see play. Here's another guy I would kind of like to see play, although I'm not as confident he's going to get significant minutes. Chase Young. I loved the Chase Young signing last year. 1-year deal, fairly cheap, high upside, 26-year-old player, massive talent. What can you get out of him? And if you just go straight to the Football Reference page, or just go straight to the Pro Football Focus page, or just go straight to the stats page, there's not a ton of objective data on Chase Young to suggest he had a great year. But if you watch the tape and you go a little bit deeper into the advanced statistics, you realize that he won a lot in the pass rush. And I love the nugget that Luke gave us in the last hour about Chase Young saying, hey, he was unblockable against the Rams in that practice. And that's against starters for the Rams. Because that's encouraging. Always, I'm telling you, who could be on the next great Saints team? Chase Young could be on the next great Saints team. And I'd like to see some more of that domination in this setting. Again, for him, it's not nearly as big a deal as it is for the quarterbacks. While he's comparable in age to Tyler Shuck, their skins on the wall at the NFL level, a lot different. Chase Young's been at this a minute. He was in the 2020 draft. So I'm less than I need to see Chase Young dominate a preseason game. I'm just excited about the potential with him. Because all good teams have got dominant edge players, and the Saints may have struck a little bit of gold with the cheap prove-it deal with Chase Young, who appears to be kind of happy here. So I want to see what he's got. And then you start to look at some of the younger guys who played pretty well last week. You start to look at Brian Brzee. You start to look, as I mentioned, at Blackmon. You would look at Quincy Riley. You would look at Jalen Ford. You would look at Danny Stutzman. You would look at those guys, even Christian Boyd, who had nice days against the Chargers. These guys are all really talented. Anyone can go out there with that talent level and have a really good preseason game. What about a second one? What about a third one? What about continuing to build on what you saw early in the preseason? That's exciting. Not because I think they need to be huge pieces to the Saints' playoff push this year, because I think they need to prove themselves as building blocks. And if you're going to let Devon Godshaw have the day off for much of it, then I want to see Christian Boyd. And if you're going to tell Demario Davis, we don't need you today, which I don't think they do. I want to see Danny Stutzman. And if you're going to tell, Justin Reed to have a seat, well, I want to see Julian Blackmon and Jonas Sanker. That's the exciting part of this. Not that they can fill out the end of the roster on a playoff team, which is what the preseason's usually for, but to kind of show that they've got a chance to break out and become something. Because this is the part of the season where we're most likely to see some of these draft picks take some steps forward. Because when you get to the regular season, the guys with the skins on the wall are going to do the majority of the playing, most likely. This is your look at some of the young players. I certainly wouldn't put, Fuaga and Banks in that conversation. They're going to play. I wouldn't put Brzee in that conversation. Obviously, he's going to play. But some of these guys are reserves. This is your chance to watch them. I think that's an exciting thing as you get ready to play the Jaguars in the Dome coming up on Sunday. So noon kickoff. Ross Jackson will be there for LouisianaSports.net. You can read his postgame stuff there, and we'll certainly react to it here on Monday. We'll be uploading all of that to Hunt on Saints as well. So look there at Saints and Jags coming up Sunday from the Dome. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking Tigers when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, let's talk some Tigers. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every Friday. Had to check in with Luke Johnson from the airport in the first hour. Preston, good enough to move back a little bit for us here on this Friday. How are you, sir?
Oh, Hunt, I'm doing better here. I'm out of parent-teacher conferences and into talking about sports, so I'm doing much better. Thank you for working on my timeline.
What are the what grade are we talking about here for parent-teacher conferences?
Oh, preschool.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we don't have any significant issues in preschool.
No, we have a little bit of a potty issue. We're not quite 100% there yet, but no, it's just more of a, it's nothing a concern. It's just like let's meet the administrator and talk about where he's at after a first week in school. But,
Understood. We'll hope all is well there. Let's talk some football. I wanted to throw a really open-ended question at you to start our discussion. Like, have you been completely surprised by anything in camp? Anything that you were just dead wrong about that you thought 4 weeks ago?
Oh, man. There's nothing that really stands out to me. I mean, it's stunningly gone to plan, and I would argue that's a good thing, except for one aspect, the offensive line. Now, the offensive line has been kind of holding its own, but not great, and I think that's more or less what we were expecting. I'm trying to think here. I mean, there's little things, such as Destin Hill and the amount of time he's gotten. There's been a few things like how many players they've rotated in on defense, such as even guys like Keelan Moser has gotten some reps with the ones, and I found that very surprising. P.J. Woodland looks really good at his corner spot. That caught me off guard a little bit, but I don't know that there's any major themes, because the major themes of fall camp have been, well, offense and defense are fairly evenly matched. Well, we all kind of expected them both to be pretty good units this year. Nussmeier is very, very, very good. I don't think anybody is shocked by that. Most of the themes have kind of lined up as expected.
LSU's safety play in 2025 will be blank.
Better. That's a safe response, isn't it?
That is safe. Give me some thoughts on players and why you think that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I mean, they're bringing back a lot of the guys they had last year. Taviano, they're bringing back Deshaun Spears, Jordan Gilbert. All those guys are back, right? Obviously, you lose Sage Ryan, and you replace him with Tamarcus Cooley and A.J. Halsey. And right now, it's looking like Halsey and Cooley will be the starters. So the fact that you got a lot of your same bodies from last year who would be back there, and then you've got new faces in, and those new faces are beating out your old faces. I mean, that's good. Not to mention, on the defense, I probably have the least faith in safety of all the positions, but your cornerback room is looking very good. And ultimately, I believe if it does come down to it and you do see more struggles at safety, you've got bodies at corner that you can move back there. I mean, Mansour Delane is having an excellent fall camp. He looks really good. A dude can tackle. He can lower his shoulder. He could play safety. I mean, a lot of these guys I could see moving around and going out there. So, Ashton Stamps is a starter, but also your second-team corners, those look really good right now. You've got Pickett looking really good, although he's been beaten by Chris Hilton a good bit, but he's still looking pretty good and making some plays out there. We saw an interception LSU posted yesterday. P.J. Woodland, very good fall camp. So between the safeties and corners room, Hunt, I really do have a lot of faith and confidence that they're going to be able to put 4 or 5 good DBs on the field. Whether or not he's listed on the roster with a CB or an S next to his name, I don't know if that matters quite as much as I think they'll be able to put 4 or 5 guys who can play ball back there.
Would you have had West Weeks ahead of Devon Keys a month ago?
No, I wouldn't have. But, it certainly seems to be looking out. And I think a theme that we're seeing for fall camp is they're going to rotate bodies in and out. Okay, I mean, unless you are, Whit Weeks might be the one who is just irreplaceable on the field. But you can't tell me West and Witt don't have, chemistry with one another. Yeah. They certainly know how to communicate and play next to each other. And there's a handful of positions on the football field where you just really need that chemistry. Wide receiver, quarterback. I'd argue your offensive linemen, particularly the ones playing next to each other, need to have great communication, and linebacker certainly one of those.
Wide receiver is interesting because of the amount of bodies they have that have looked really, really good. Xavier Thomas had another really good day today out at practice. Do you think he factors in at wide receiver?
No, I mean, certainly as a utility player. I mean, he's a gadget gizmo guy if there ever was one. I mean, you're going to use him in bubble screens. You're going to use him on RPO type plays. You're going to even line him up probably a couple reps at running back for gadget plays. So yeah, no, I don't think Xavier Thomas, barring injury, okay, I don't think he's got a 1,000-yard season loaded up for him, but, I mean, he's going to play. But so is Aaron Anderson, so is Chris Hilton, so is Nick Anderson, so is Barry Brown, and frankly, Kyle Parker's looked really good. And then you got to think, okay, if Xavier Thomas is out, I mean, you got to think that Jelani Watkins, I mean, look, as a downfield receiver, he needs to develop. His hands aren't where they need to be, and his route running isn't as crisp as it needs to be. But you got to figure out, I mean, on a quick little bubble route or jet sweep, Jelani Watkins is one of the fastest players in America. Again, we can just talk all day about guys who have potential on this roster. I legitimately see 5 or 6 guys who, if it weren't for the other players on this roster, I could see why they could be 1,000-yard receivers.
Jelani Watkins made maybe the catch of today, ran right by Aiden Anding on a ball that looked to be overthrown. He put the Jets on and scooped it up off his knee tops on the way into the end zone. It was a heck of a play and showed that world-class speed, literally, that he has. Do you have a pick to lead LSU in receiving yards this year?
Yeah, I feel like that's just a losing premise, no matter which direction I go. But I'll say Chris Hilton. I think what's the expression? You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 3 years in a row, shame on me.
Yep.
I'm gonna still bet on the losing side of that. I guess I think this is the year Chris Hilton turns it around, stays healthy, and shows out. He looks like a complete receiver. He is very fast. There's people have said he's just as fast as Barry and Brown and Jelani Watkins, and that's world-class speed we're talking about. So he looks good in practice. Wasn't out there today. He graduated, so good for him. But I think the fact that coaches are using him as a representative of the program, sending him to SEC Media Days, it shows maturity and all that. Yeah, it could be him, but I would not bet a ton of money because it could also be Aaron Anderson. It could also be Barry and Brown. I mean, it could go a lot of different ways. I think they're going to spread the ball quite a bit.
What do you make of the continued rotation of Paul Mabenga and DJ Chester at left guard?
Oh, man, a little unfortunate that, you would hope that DJ Chester would have had a better grasp on that position, particularly he's roommates with Tyree Adams, so there's a lot of chemistry there. Okay, also the talk is that, well, he had a rough year at center, but he's not a true center. He was playing out of position. This should be more comfortable, so he should be a better player. We're talking about a highly recruited guy, top 100 overall player. Little unfortunate to see that, he's still battling it out with a younger guy like Paul Mabenga. So, ultimately, that left guard spot the truth is it isn't looking good. And neither one of the true freshmen that are coming in are looking like they're going to compete with time. You got Solomon Thomas on a bike and Carius Kern, who we all had eyes on both those guys at the guard spot. Both of them are, Carius Kern's had a lot of discipline issues, like a lot of offsides, holding balls we've seen on him. He's just looking like an 18-year-old learning how to play college football out there. So, I'd be lying to you if I won't have my eye on that particular position to see how it goes.
Who would you take to gain more yards on the ground this year, Caleb Jackson or Juwan Johnson?
The interesting question would have been touchdowns here. I'll go Caleb Jackson. I think he's going to be, if they need a true running back, he'll be the one to get the first nod. He's had some moments here in practice. I still think he's a little too big. And I think that, ultimately, I think Caden Durham is going to be your number one back that you're looking to in a lot of situations. And I think Caleb Jackson, I think he's still going to get a crack to be used situationally, like goal line, short yardage, that type stuff, and see what they can make of him. I would like to see Trey Holly. Of course, he's had his moments and flashes. I'm sorry, I'm saying Trey Holly, the freshman kid from New Orleans.
JT Lindsey. Harlan Berry.
No. Yeah, we're naming every other running back except for Harlem Berry. Boy, I hope his dad isn't listening to the trade Monday here. Anyways, I would like to see Harlem Berry look a little less freshman-esque out there. Of course, we saw him just get blown up by Tylen Singleton and fumble the ball. We've seen a drop here and there. But I would, in an ideal world, I would love to see him iron out those little freshman issues. And by game one, he's your number 2 back. Because I think he's your number he might be number 1 in terms of pure talent, but I think in terms of potential this year, he's your best number 2 option behind Caden Durham.
What do you think a realistic expectation for Harlem Berry is in September? You got 2 huge games in September against Clemson and Florida. Like, how much can they use him? In what ways can they use him?
Well, historically, Frank Wilson, though, in these big early game matchups doesn't give nods to true freshmen very often. And that's been a long time. This is not just this stretch of tenure at LSU. It dates back a while back there, even Leonard Fournette, So, I think a realistic expectation is, let's see, you got a couple gimme games in September. I mean, let's see, it probably won't get much going against Clemson unless there's something surprising going on there. And then in some of these gimme games, show me some flashes. Show me that you're ready to play and can make plays, and then ease your way into, a spell back type role where you're either on the field next to Caden Durham or giving him his first break. That's what I would like to see as a realistic expectation.
And they all are up and running over there at Tiger Bait with camp in full swing, and you're live every Monday. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, Tiger Bait YouTube channel. You can catch me every Monday night at 8 p.m. with Zach Nagy over there. We'll also be doing our post-game show. And, of course, right now we're pumping out practice reports, which are just wildly popular, and all sorts of good stuff going on. We got all our press conferences being uploaded. So, yeah, y'all check us out, tigerbait.com, LSU Tigers on Tiger Bait on YouTube, and we'll get you squared away, guys.
Have a good weekend. Week 0 next week. We'll talk then, Preston.
All right. See you then.
Preston Guy, tigerbait.com. Appreciate him giving us a little time on this Friday, being a little bit flexible here. We moved Luke back from his Thursday slot to a Friday slot, moved Preston back from his Friday into the second hour. But we're off and running here on this Friday. For you, those that were listening 15 minutes ago with the update from the grocery store, my wife braved the elements. Alyssa got out of the car, went through the rain, and got the grocery shopping done. So now I don't have to do that when we finish the show. Incredible performance from her. Primetime players, primetime plays, primetime games. It's a heck of a job by her. But if you're out there and about, don't get out because it's raining. Hopefully y'all are staying dry, staying safe, and we appreciate you locking us in here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. When we come back, I have a piece up on LouisianaSports.net talking about freshmen and playing time. I feel like at this point we've seen enough rotation, seen enough 11 on 11, seen enough action. I kind of have a feel for what freshmen are going to see the field early and often, what freshmen could see their way to the field, and what freshmen are probably well down the list and may not be in line for much action this fall. I'll get into that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Bend Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized, it'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature it in social media.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp, corksfishandshrimp.com. You're looking to cater, feed the office, lunch and learn, high school football, mass feedings, doing a tailgate, birthday parties, whatever the case may be. Corks is always a great catering option. They got the big trays, the jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, shoestring fries, honey butter rolls, all the coleslaw and hush puppies you need. Just fantastic stuff. I get really hungry when I sit in the studio on Fridays and I look at those panels with all the Cork seafood on it. It looks phenomenal. I want some very badly. It's awesome. You can get some. Government between Foster and Jefferson. Check out that menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, let's talk freshmen. What freshmen are going to play? This has been an evolving thing over decades in college football. There was a time where like the freshmen weren't even on the varsity team. And then you had a time in the nearer past where freshmen generally redshirted, like Alan Faneca redshirted here. And you can fast forward another 20 years and Michael Brockers in 2009 redshirted here. And then as a redshirt freshman, he played in 2010. As a redshirt sophomore, he was a star in 2011, and he left. And LSU looked at this and goes, well, wait a second. We signed this 4-star kid. We redshirted him 1 year, and then he came back, and he was only here for 2 years, and he left. We didn't get enough out of him, so we're not going to do that. We're going to play freshmen. And there was a time there where a lot of freshmen played. And then COVID hit. And you had a bunch of like sixth-year college players. And oh, by the way, not only are there sixth-year college players, these sixth-year college players can transfer wherever they want. So if you lost someone unexpectedly to the NFL draft, or someone did get like hurt or wasn't or transferred out, like, oh, we can just fill that spot with a 23-year-old instead of an 18-year-old. Seems like the prudent thing to do. And that's kind of where we are right now. You're in an era right now where true freshmen just don't play a lot. There are some. You look at the high-profile cases around the country, and Ryan Williams in Tuscaloosa, Jeremiah Smith, and Columbia, like, yeah, those are freaks. And they can play. And you look at LSU last year, and like Caden Durham burst on the scene. He wasn't an early enrollee, but he was ready to go. And it happens sometimes, but it doesn't happen a lot because you generally play old players. I mean, you can just look at LSU's lineup this year and what we think they're going to throw out there. Nussmeier's a fifth-year player. Braylon Moore, fourth-year player. Josh Thompson, fifth-year player. Look outside. Chris Hilton, fifth-year player. Varian Brown, fourth-year player. Aaron Anderson, fourth-year player. Destin Hill, fourth-year player. Xavion Thomas, fourth-year player. Go to the other side of the ball. Jacobian Guillory, sixth-year player. Jack Pyburn, fourth-year player. Look at Bernard Gooden, fourth-year player. Whit Weeks, third year. Harold Perkins, fourth year. Mansour Delane, fourth year. Ashton Stamps, third year. You get the picture. Jordan Gilbert, fourth year. Like, it's old dudes. There's not a lot of young players. Like, Weston Davis is young. Tyree Adams is in his third year. DJ Chester's in his third year. It's just not a lot of young guys. And I don't anticipate a huge number of young guys playing for this team. I think as I look at it, to me, I see two freshmen that I expect to play big roles early in the season and throughout the season. You can probably guess those two. They were five-star recruits. It's Harlem Berry in a depleted running back room, and it's DJ Pickett, who's a potential star. Those two true freshmen, I believe, will play early and often, and I think that's it. You look back at the signing class, 23 guys. I think two of them are mega impact players. And I don't even know what Harlem Berry's impact is going to be. If you told me he ran for 720 yards and 7 touchdowns, I'd believe it. If you told me he ran for 180 yards and 1 touchdown, I'd believe that too. The second part would stand to reason that Caden Durham got 80% of the carries. Caleb Jackson emerged as a third-year player and was very serviceable, and Berry just wasn't counted on that much. I would get that, but he's going to play. And Pickett's going to play too. I don't know where or when. I don't know if they're going to put him out there immediately against Clemson or not. But he's going to play. And I think that's it. But you look at those that I think are knocking on the door, that maybe not against Clemson, maybe not against Florida. By the time you play Texas A&M, by the time you play Alabama, maybe. And I would point there to Carius Kern, who, again, is not, we talked about this at the end of the first hour, not knocking down the door right now, knocking on the door. But the way that Carius Kern gets to the field probably has less to do with the way that Carius Kern develops and more to do with the fact that LSU's offensive line buckles. What did we see against Florida State 3 years ago? They could not block. Couldn't block. So Brian Kelly and Brad Davis looked at it and goes, okay, Emory Jones, you got to play. Because it wasn't because Emory Jones just started dominating as on the scout team at practice. It was because the guys in front of him on the offensive line failed. Could not block. So they made some drastic changes. And if that happens, I think Carius Kern's number could be called. Now, there's two others on this list that I think their physical skill set could find its way to the field, especially if there's an injury here or there. And that's Charles Ross at linebacker and C.J. Jim Coley at star or linebacker. There are players in front of them, I know that. But I know that the staff really likes these two guys. And I believe strongly that both of them will play special teams early on. Ross is 220 plus pounds and has high school track speed. He can run and tackle. He's going to play on special teams, and he'll play against Louisiana Tech and Southeastern. And I think you'll notice him. The staff really likes him. He was an early enrollee, and I think you'll like him. C.J. Jim Coley is huge. We talked about him in Meet the Freshman yesterday. He is 6'3", he is 220, and he can run. Now, he's not going to beat Harold Perkins out at star. But I do think that if Perkins were to go down for some reason, or if they were looking for a different look, meaning you're talking about Jim Coley's 6'3", and is probably going to be 230 pounds by the time this season's over. That's 15 pounds bigger than Harold Perkins. And maybe there's a spot for him in a different game where there's not as much space, but there's more stuff between the boxes. Again, this is down the line. I'm not at all suggesting that CJ Jinquoli is going to beat Harold Perkins out. Please do not misunderstand me. But he's playing a lot with the second team, and physically I like his skill set, and I think he's going to play special teams. I think there is a potential for Jinquoli to get on the field more quickly than a lot of his freshman cohorts, especially on special teams. And then behind that, I honestly don't think you're going to see a lot of guys in the freshman class play a lot. I don't think you're going to see like Phillip Wright play wide receiver with 7 guys in front of him. I don't think you're going to get Solomon Thomas to the field. I don't think the other linebackers are going to beat out Jinquoli and Ross. That's Zach Weeks. That's Keelan Moses. That's Jaden Breaker. Like, those guys I think are going to be reserves that potentially could redshirt. I don't think Aiden Anding cracks the starting lineup. Now I feel like JT Lindsay is way behind the 8 ball. JD LaFleur is very much 4th on that list at tight end. Like, you get the point. I don't have to name every player in the class. But to me, there are 2 surefires. There are 3 guys kind of knocking on the door, and then kind of the rest of the class we'll see. Would it stun me if Jacob Bradford or Keelan Moses was on the kickoff team? No, it would not. They run well, and they can tackle. Zach Weeks, same way. But as you're looking for major impact, it's really only 2 or 3. And to me, that is a good thing about this team. That's not at all an indictment on the freshman class. What it is a team that went to the transfer portal and got a bunch of 22-year-olds. And I just listed like the entire starting lineup. A lot of them are transfers, and they're old, and they're going to play. It's a team that doesn't have to lean on freshmen. I don't want to lean on freshmen at defensive tackle. I don't want to lean on freshmen at offensive line. I don't want to lean on freshmen having to cover too much. Pickett's a special case. He's a Stingley. He's a Peterson. He's a Tre'Davious White. And that is, to me, a healthy part of this. Now, you look at after this year, when almost all that lineup on both sides of the ball is gone, yeah, this class is going to have to step up in a big way. But they get to spend this fall learning, practicing, experiencing things on game day, learning from the guys in front of them, experiencing coaching, putting weight on, and those guys are going to have to be big for LSU next year. They'll still go back to the portal, they'll go shop, and they'll get some guys, but Brian Kelly recruits high school guys for a reason, and that's to grow up quickly, and by the time you're a sophomore, be ready to rock and roll. And I think these guys probably will, vast majority of them. All right, that's a look at LSU football. Always want to remind you, Hunt on LSU is where you can find our LSU content. It's on YouTube. It's wherever you find your podcasts. It's short 10, 12-minute segments. If you're just looking for your LSU content, you don't necessarily care too much about the black and gold, check out Hunt on Saints. If you're a Saints fan and you don't really care that much about LSU, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us on this Friday. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We got one segment to go. We will come back and wrap things up for the week on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety, safety, safety. It's a big deal. And the bathroom can be a very hazardous place, especially as folks age. If you have someone in your life that wants to stay at home, but you feel like the bathroom might be a hazardous spot, you can't eliminate that risk. You can mitigate against it. Put in non-slip floors. Put in walk-in shower. Put in a walk-in tub. Put in a shower that has a bench. All of these are things that David Duvall and his team do all the time, and they're happy to help you with it. Have that free consultation. That part doesn't cost you anything. Have David share his 30 years of experience with you. Say, this is what we generally do. This is how long it takes. This is what it costs. Think financing, they got it available. 0% up to 18 months, same as cash. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find pictures of their great work and reviews from their satisfied customers online at onebathandclosets.com. That's onebathandclosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
You gotta believe in dreams. Believe. You gotta believe in dreams. Believe. You gotta believe. Whole team on wild.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
I just chuckled to myself scrolling through my Twitter feed in the break. John Neighbors, who covers Arkansas for Inside Arkansas, he was on After Further View earlier this week talking about the Hogs. His thumbnail for his show today on the internet was, "Should Arkansas cheat for a championship?" Which is clearly a reference to Michigan using Connor Stallions to spy on folks and winning a national championship and then getting punished for it. And I think that John probably had some fun in that segment. It probably wasn't too literal. But I'm just thinking about Arkansas fans going, well, hell, we'll just go find their signals and we'll cheat and we'll win the national championship. I'm like, well, probably not, because you don't have very good players. And Michigan has a lot of good players that have been drafted in the NFL and had one of the best defenses in the last 10 years on that title team. But I get it. I think it's a good segment. We're still in the dog days of talking season here. Don't have any games to talk about. I dig it. But I would be lying if I said I read that and did not laugh at the thought that Arkansas could just go cheat their way to a title. Hogs, Coach Pittman, just getting their hands dirty, getting a championship. I don't know if that's in the cards for them. Before we get to take it or leave it, Jordan, Saints, Jaguars, Sunday, anything you're looking for whatsoever, anything that interests you at all?
Definitely the receiver core.
Okay.
Just to see.
I don't even know who's playing. Are Olave and Shaheed playing? Means is out.
Maybe you give them a drive here and there, but at this point, man, everybody's just glass. So I just want to see maybe somebody maybe emerge in a sense. See if Mason Tipton can keep building on. So definitely, I want to see if we have any receivers at this point. Foskey maybe, is he, you play 4 quarters of football. I know we're quarter stat,
He's done.
Yeah, me and Taylor was talking about it earlier.
He's done.
It's a little bit more impressive that you played 4 quarters of football and didn't get on the stat sheet like that. It seems like you had to. It seems harder to do than actually get on the stat sheet.
It's a tough scene.
Very tough.
That's
Very tough.
over. Do you think that the Saints will name a quarterback on Monday?
Let's see how the game looks. Like, if I hate to say it, but Rattler comes out there, throws a couple bombs. It's like, well, he's QB1. Shuck comes out there, Rattler, like he did. You got to pull him out the game. Shuck comes in, throws a bomb or something like that. I think everything's gonna play itself out this game. But I just really, 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 really need to see who is going to be catching the ball this year.
We'll see. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Gotcha.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
The weekend is here. Flight by Yingling needs to be the first thing you pick up on the way home. It is the next generation of light beer. Just got 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, but it does pack that delicious beer flavor. If you haven't given Flight by Yingling a try, just highly recommend it. It's great for on the grill, great for on the golf course, great for on the lake or the pool. Built for these Louisiana warm summers. It's the next generation of light beer. Flight by Yingling.
All right, let's start it off with Bleacher Report made a list of one player to cut from each NFL team. And for the New Orleans Saints, they picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Should the Saints cut Clyde, take it, or leave it?
I'll leave it. I think that Clyde is really good in pass protection.
Yep.
He is, and Kellen Moore talked about that this week. He's a veteran. I'm still so up in the air and non-committal on Kendre Miller.
Yep.
I don't feel like the Cam Akers ceiling is very high. And then Devin Neal obviously gets hurt, and that's a big deal. But I don't think he's a cut material at this point. Do I think Clyde's going to run for 1,000 yards this year? I do not. Do I think he's got some value in the organization? I do.
Yeah, their reasoning was it was a crowded room. Like they said, Velus Jones and Kendre, Camaro. But at the same time, how is he the one player they want to cut and not Foskey? That just shows you they're not really watching the Saints. I just had to get that in there. There's no way they're actually watching the Saints if they pick Clyde over Foskey to be the one player cut. But let's keep it going. So some more hypocrisy going on. The NFL Top 100 list, voted on by the players, matter of fact, has Micah Parsons ranked as the 36th best player in the NFL. Is there 35 players you would take over Micah Parsons right now? Take it or leave it?
I'll leave it. I don't want to go through the exercise of guys that I would take above Parsons, but I wouldn't get to 34.
Thank you.
That's a little ridiculous. I'm not going to sit here and even try to suggest that I'm turning on the all-22 film of every team in the league and breaking down who's what, but Parsons is a pretty terrifying dude to block. He makes a lot of plays in the backfield and tackles. I just have a very, very difficult time determining that there are that many guys better than him. I wonder what the beef is with the players in the league that do that. They do this in the NBA every year, and the same guys get thought of as being overrated, and that's a little jarring though. I had not seen that.
Very jarring. Matter of fact, the number 37, Travis Kelce. So Parsons 36.
And Parsons, Kelce's done. Kelce can't run anymore. He's got a great quarterback, and he can sit down in the middle of the zone and catch a pass for 8 yards. But he can't play like he used to. To put those two on the same level is preposterous. So yeah, that's a little bit much for me.
All right, I just had to see where your mind was at. 'Cause I'm like, there's just no way possible you have Michael Parsons 36. Can't do that.
Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
Awesome. That's it for Take It or Leave It, brought to you by Flight by Yingling. I'm sitting here grinding this Cubs game with the Pirates. Surprise, surprise. The Cubs have 1 run today, which is just not shocking the way that they're playing these days. Big bummer. But our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by Foster, government between Foster and Jefferson. Get your big old shrimp po' boy to start the weekend off. Always a great option, and we appreciate them for making our Friday shows possible. I will tell you, we have not gotten information from LSU on what the next week looks like. There have been plenty of years in the past where our access has been cut off 2 weeks to game time. They really get into game planning, start doing some Clemson-specific things. They don't necessarily need that plastered on the internet, and that's kind of what I'm expecting to happen, but this has been as much access as we've ever gotten, so maybe we'll be out there tomorrow watching, maybe we won't. I'm not sure. Today was the last day we got via the email, so we'll see. Either way, we'll be talking some LSU coming up on Monday. Starting Monday, like we're into week 0. I know that excites some people a ton. Some people will roll their eyes at week 0, but it's still here. However you feel about it, it's still here, so that's an exciting deal. I'm excited to watch the Saints on Sunday and kind of talk about that on Monday's show as well. So we'll have plenty to do on Monday. If you missed today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. My practice report from today, first of all, is up at LouisianaSports.net if you want to read it. Also, you can check out the first segment from today at Hunt on LSU. My thoughts on basically a big glorified walkthrough for the Tigers today. Luke Johnson joined us from the Denver airport, coming back from California. Lots of great information on the Saints, what they got done in California, what he expects to see on Sunday. So you can check that out at Hunt on Saints. We met the freshmen, the last two, Solomon Thomas and Carius Curran, what I kind of think those guys' years may look like. Open Hour 2, what I'm looking for, Saints Jags. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com with the 2:15. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. That's it for us here on this Friday. Matt is about to drive you home on After Further Review. Stay dry out there. Stay safe out there. Have a wonderful weekend. We're back on Monday, same time, same place, for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.